Hello and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for a new episode of A New Go of New Home Sales. I'm your host, Anya Christianten, and today joining me, Rick Baldonado, who is very newly with Homes.com. He's the National Director of New Construction over there. So welcome to the show, Rick. How are you?
Thank you, Anya. Yeah, I'm so new. I still have bubble wrap on. So yeah.
So for our listeners who don't know, Rick, you
Mhm.
recently moved from Realtor.coms over to Homes.com now. So can you
Correct.
tell us what drew you to this role and what excites you most about Homes.com push into new construction?
Yeah, thank you, Anya. Thank you for having me on your show, the podcast. It's great to connect with you and John, and obviously knowing you all these years. But yeah, just a long story short, been in the new construction industry for 30 years. The last five with Realtor.com, their new construction division, starting that from square one to where it was at. And I think there's just certain things in life that propel you, that you get signals that you need to keep growing, keep prospering, and there's opportunities that come up when you least look for them. That's just serendipity, how life works, right?
That's
Obviously, being in the industry for so long, you have so many great friends that you create over the years, partnerships, and fortunately I've created that with a few people that I used to work with before that are now here at homes.com that I know really well. And so with that, just seeing from afar what they're doing, and now that I'm over here at homes.com, I realize that to really go to the next level, you got to have commitment, you got to have resources, and you got to have vision. And I see that over here at homes.com, and that is what I think I am the most excited about.
Well, speaking of the resources, we certainly know
Hmm.
that CoStar has made a major investment in Homes.com recently, even acquiring companies like Matterport now. So, can
Right.
you talk to us a little bit about the blueprint for
Yeah.
Homes.com and what really makes you guys different in new construction? What's the path here?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I think what makes this compelling is obviously it's not just homes.com, it's CoStar. They're the largest, number one real estate research company in the entire world. And Andy Florence, the CEO, is a true visionary. Started out with CoStar and took it to where it's at today, a multi-billion-dollar company, and just kept growing and adding to it. And of course, many of you on this call, this audience here today, they know apartments.com, the number one apartment finder in the country. And so that's a blueprint, if you will, and how to be successful and how to make homes.com to get in that race as well, too. So, but it takes more than just being an online listing platform, right? It takes data, it takes resources, it takes the know-how and what to do differently in the online portal world, because now there's obviously a handful of players in this space. But what's unique about it? What can you deliver to the consumer? That's the end all be all here. It's the consumer, giving that experience, the best experience to the consumer and to all of the real estate agents out there that are the customers.
So, speaking of the customers, obviously we do have the end user, the consumer, the buyer,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
also in new construction, you're serving home builders. So, can you talk a little bit about the value proposition of
Yeah.
homes.com specifically for home builders?
Yeah, another great question. Obviously, as Anya, there's a lot of plate tectonics shifting right now in the real estate portal world, and you're seeing that in the news every day. And so it's either go out there, disrupt or be innovative or get disrupted. And we're no different over here. And thankfully, again, it goes back to leadership and having the vision. And so what we're doing over here and why I think that benefits not only home builders, but real estate agents, it's your listing, your lead. So you go on homes.com, home builder X, their listing or their spec, and you as the consumer click on that, your contact information goes directly back to that home builder or back to that realtor, which ultimately you know everything about your product, your listing, right? And so your lead does not get resold to X number of realtors in the area or to somebody else that doesn't know that home builder community or that particular resale. So I think that first and foremost, that's the biggest value. The second is being able for home builders is to list their communities at no charge on homes.com. So we know all the big builders can afford to list their homes and all their homes, right? They pay a fee to list their homes. That's great, but as we all know, real estate is cyclical, and we're going through some pains right now, and budgets are not infinite. And so when you're listing your lead for home builders, so by home builders providing their feed to homes.com, they get their listings no charge as well as their leads no charge. And so whether you're public or you're private or you're that little small home builder in any town USA and you only build 5 or 10 homes per year and you can't afford a cost per community fee or anything like that, this is a huge value for them. And that's where homes.com, I think, is taking the next step to value across the board in real estate and for home builders too.
Yeah, that's really refreshing to see that your lead is your own. That's definitely a huge benefit to home builders.
Mhm.
Now, when you and I were talking earlier
Yeah.
offline, you mentioned that one of the ways that you're helping home builder visibility is through photography and videography service. Can you
Mhm.
talk to us a little bit about that? Because I thought that was something that was very unique about you guys.
Yeah, and that's a really great value and resource as part of our community boost package, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about later. And again, if you're a public home builder or a private home builder, there's generally inconsistencies across the board with every builder, just time, resources, bandwidth, you name it. So as a builder, it's okay, we'd love to have photography all across the board for X number of hundreds of communities or thousands of communities, but it's challenging and it's difficult and even expensive if you're a small private home builder, like we just talked about. So the great thing about CoStar being the number one real estate research company in the world is we have a fleet of full-time photographers and drone operators. In fact, we have the largest drone fleet in the entire world. So part of our package to boost home builder communities on homes.com is we'll actually go out to that home builder's community. These are our photographers. They'll show up and they'll shoot up to three model homes, and we'll do drone video, and we'll do drone video of the community of the city itself. It's not just the spec or the community that we're selling here, but it's also the community. And we'll do about a 60 or 90-second video professionally done to the community, which if you haven't seen it on homes.com, you'll see it you go type in a city, search results page. So it's really helping the consumer, aiding the consumer. But going back to the photography, it's highlighting, showcasing, and it's giving the consumer consistency across the board. So whatever listing, builder listing they're looking at, they're getting consistency, they're getting high quality because as it's everything, right? You can walk down a shopping aisle, right? And it's packaging, right? We all look
Yes.
at packaging. This is no different. It really isn't.
Okay.
And you could have some builders where they have so photography or it's subpar, it just doesn't look right or whatever. And so that's what we try and help out on that, try and control with home builders that are part of our community boost. But yeah, it's really everything and it's high value.
Yeah, it's a great value proposition because you're right, there's still so many builders that it's just hard to compete with resales
Hmm.
to begin with because everything we do is you have to imagine. And most consumers, as we know, are not great at imagining. So the more information you can give them to look at, the more time they're going to spend interacting with your content, the higher the
Hmm.
chances of you converting those consumers. So that's great. Now, Rick, one of the things you talked about was budget allocation and how
Hmm.
you're marketing communities. So we all see that money is dispersed across all those different communities, and some are doing great. Where there's struggling communities or me not seeing the kind of traction you're looking for. How do you guys think about budget allocation when it comes to those top performing communities and maybe some of the struggling communities?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? Like budgets aren't infinite. They just aren't. And there's a lot of resource allocation amongst budgets. So every home builder, again, we know because every home builder, again, public or private, we all have communities that outperform, that do
Yeah.
exceptionally well because of product, price, location. Thank goodness we do. And then we are always going to have communities that underperform for those very same reasons, right? That we need extra help. And I think the other value, the compelling value of homes.com is we're saying, look, there's no need because it's your listing, your lead, and you can list your communities no charge on homes.com and get those leads back. So you don't necessarily have to pay for exposure, right? Or lead generation for communities that are doing extremely well. So you're saving money there. But those communities that need just that little bit more extra traffic push exposure, that's where we can do our community boost. And that will help elevate that home builders community to the top of the search results page when anybody's searching new construction or looking for a combination of new construction or resale, because we know new construction is not in some of these mature market areas. And I think that's what's really cool and really valuable for the home building community is look at maximizing your marketing budget to those communities that really need it the most. And I've seen it over my career, the last being in this space now, going on 6 years, builders really struggling with their budgets, where to spend it, how to spend it. And I think that's where we can answer that there for them and focus on those communities that they really need the most help.
That's great. And then I think part of sometimes struggling communities is lack of assets. So hopefully with you guys doing kind of
Yeah.
both, increasing those assets, increasing engagement, putting more eyeballs on it, that's going to be a winning recipe to give you that boost in those struggling communities.
Yeah, and to kind of just add on to that, so part of the reason why we want to do the professional photography and the video and the Matterport, all that is it takes a lot of those resources and that time, that to do stuff, if you will, from a lot of these marketing professionals in home building.
Yeah.
Traditionally, is oh yeah, send us your assets or get that, and we have to wait. And time is of the essence right now, right? So we got to hit it. We got to hit it now. So when we do it ourselves, we have the assets. So we can simply from there and say, hey, let's boost this community or these communities. So we can take those assets and we do our, especially for our retargeting, we'll do display marketing, right?
Mhm.
So now we have the ability to wrap that up in animated display ads. So it'll have homes.com on there. It also have the home builders logo on there along with their community as well too. So it's engaging, it's dynamic, and not only will it get boosted on the top searches for on homes.com, but we'll also retarget that based on the consumer behavior, the search history. It's not just homes.com. It's okay, I'm looking on CNN or weather.com or whatever the multiple different sites that you look at, your community will get retargeted, redisplayed on those sites. And so we know that's a huge value for many of our builders, right? So it's not just it could be ESPN, it could be CNN in weather.com, it could be multiple different sites. And I think that's extremely valuable. And so especially if you're a private builder or a regional builder, that
Yeah.
you don't have these big budgets to go out there and say, hey, we want to do this. And here at homes.com, we take care of that for you. And I think that's huge. And that's a great value and a great resource. And I love that. So,
Absolutely. Could not agree more with you. It's like that pair of shoes
mm.
that keeps following you around after you
Yeah,
put them out.
yeah. Okay, okay, I got it. I'm gonna buy
All right, I'll
it.
buy
Right.
it. Yes. Rick, I recently been following up on homes.com and I see Andy talking about the differentiation is the data and you
Mhm.
position yourself as really a data company. So how does that data advantage play into your go-to-market strategy when it comes to home builders? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, obviously we're all data driven, right? In marketing, everything's all about data,
Hopefully.
analytics, performance, right? Hopefully. Obviously, we're no different. And with CoStar being the number one real estate research platform in the entire world, commercial, industrial, multifamily, retail, it's covered. And now you got new construction. So there's a lot of data and analytics that go along with that's useful not only to the industry, but to the consumer as well, too, right? Everybody wants more insight, not just data, but just insight, right? I don't need to know just the number of listings in an area, but show me what that means over a period of time. Is
Hmm.
this really a good time to buy? What's the average price in the area or the days on market, the percentage of listings that have an increase or decrease in the market area? So consumers are very savvy, they're very knowledgeable, they want more, they want to know more. And I think we're perfectly suited to do that based upon the DNA that we have here at CoStar. And so we got all that information. And so we want to make that useful for the consumer, not just hey here, but make it relatable. So if they're on a map in our map layers, they can see all that information and help them guide their decisions on is this area really right for me? It's not just about the home, right? It's the community, it's the area. Am I making the right move or the right decision? What else is out there? And I think that's really important. It's having the information in a way that is actionable and giving the consumer, or in this case, the home builder, confidence and knowledge about what they're doing and what they have.
Yeah, so speaking of confidence, we
Mhm.
just had, for the first time in recent history, a little decrease to our interest rates from the
Mhm.
Fed. So for
Yeah.
that, I guess we'll take what was a quarter point.
Yeah.
So how are you thinking about rates right now, affordability challenges, and just overall demand in shaping homes.com new construction strategy?
Yeah, and I think in new construction strategy, I think I'll lead with that, but then I'll tail into the rates. You got to make it easy because of look at the market conditions we've been experiencing, right? Recently, last 5 years, just resale inventory is low for obvious reasons that we all know. Don't want to kick that dog there, but it's what is the available inventory that is out there? This new construction. So making new construction easily searchable for the consumer, which we've done at homes.com. You go on homes.com, right there in our taskbar, you can search, type in a city and drop down, and new homes is right there. And you can look up new home communities. So it has to be easy to find, first of all, right? Because of all the leverage and the incentives that are available for new construction, and new construction actually being more affordable now to buy than resale. And so we're seeing that. So that's a paradigm shift, right? For the market and for consumers. So first and foremost is making new construction easily discoverable for consumers, which we've done that, and that's fantastic. And that should generate more branding, more exposure for our home builder partners. I
Yes.
think the challenge, as I think you see as well too, it's home building. Housing is not affordable, flat out. Period. I know historically that 6 or 7% rates is not bad for my generation, and that my generation before that, that was normal. We're dealing with this generation, this younger generation under 30, who they don't know that. They're used to sub 4%, 3%. And it's housing has become extremely challenging. And a lot of those costs that were not issues before, like homeowners insurance, HOAs, that's becoming very costly. And it's having an impact on affordability for housing. So as an industry, is the answer to build more housing? Yeah, we're trying to. I don't think it's going to be at a scale or pace that we truly need it to go. And home builders are looking at, and you're seeing that in the market. It's like we want to build more affordable housing. And affordable means that the average household income can afford, right? Because affordable has that certain connotation to it. And we talk to home building professionals all the time. If you're in this market and you're going to buy a new home, what is the probability that you would? And surprisingly, not surprisingly, that number is pretty low. It's tough. It's challenging. And that's the challenge of it all. And there's markets that are extremely affordable right now because they've been overlooked, or there's not a lot of new construction. The Midwest and the Northeast, which are doing surprisingly well and still relatively affordable. But the markets that we swim in the most, all of us, it's those Sun Belt states, right? Anytime you have a lot of validity in the marketplace in terms of price increases or supply variations, you're going to see validity. And we are. And that's what the consumer's facing. That's what, as an industry, that we're facing. So yeah, I wish it was an easy fix, but I'll leave that up to the powers that be at the national level. But yes, it is challenging.
Yeah, but I think definitely visibility is a huge help here
Mhm.
because so many consumers get lost in that step one before they even can find your new construction because
Right.
typically in the portals it is tends to be more buried under what's all available right away. So that's definitely
Yeah, yeah.
one of
And
those
you're right too,
challenges.
because they don't want to just see new construction. Naturally you're gonna want to see everything in an area, right?
Of
You're like,
course.
what's available, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that, maybe not. I'm not seeing what I like in this here in existing or resale, what's going on in new construction. But also at the same time promoting new construction that there's tools out there and there's resources where there's rate buy downs, there's pricing corrections out there as well too. And there's a lot of concessions being made out there too that first time home buyer or that new construction home buyer should take into consideration. So that's why we want to surface those as prominently as possible on homes.com.
For sure. Now, we talked about consumer tools with
Mhm.
some of the insights that you mentioned. I'm sure you guys have a lot of data, even from apartment side. So, what
Mhm.
about home builders? Are there any tools that you're working on or plan to roll out that are specifically for home builders that utilizes your data, maybe helping them figure out what price point they should target, locations, anything like that?
I think that's something that we've got in the parking lot. Obviously, with that, a lot of that information is extremely important for home builders, and so those are projects in the queue. But yeah, but mainly more right now, more for the consumer to understand, to give them confidence on where they're looking, why they should consider this area, why they should consider this community. But on the back end, yeah, there's projects and resources that are there that will hopefully eventually be able to provide to the home builder community, as we all know. And a lot of our clients already of ours through CoStar or through LoopNet,
Mhm.
Land.com. Many of these home builders as that we all work with, they're in the build to rent or they have multifamily arms or affordable housing arms. or the master plan developers. They do commercials. That's where I think we're very fortunate to also have them as partners under the umbrella from that perspective. And so it'll be a nice crossover opportunity.
Yeah. So with the way the economy is right now, we
Hmm.
typically see a lot of consolidations happening during downturn in the market. We
Hmm.
see it on the vendor side, certainly, and
Yeah.
we definitely see it on the builder side, larger builders acquiring smaller builders.
Yeah.
So where do you see the biggest opportunities for Homes.com to serve the industry right now with the consolidations that are taking place?
Yeah, and I think you saw that a couple days ago with what Compass is doing out there, right? So everybody is out in the market. It's a high stakes game
Yeah.
for what does that mean for the consumer? What does that mean to the industry? So we're seeing a lot of legacy models that are in play right now. How does that factor in? I know where we stand here at Homes.com is ultimately, and this is the vision of Andy Florence and the executive leadership team at Homes.com, is to provide the best consumer experience possible, right? That's why you're listing your lead. Transparency is number one, rather than just, okay, my contact information is just dropped in a black hole and it's being sent out there to whoever. That's where we're trying to align ourselves within the industry, not only with all the licensed realtors out there, but with all the home builders out there. And I think you look at what is their experience overall, right? So when you go on homes.com, it's okay, what's different? What's unique about this? It's having complete information. It's easy to see and understand. It's there, you got a lot of visual tools in there. What I
Mhm.
love about it too, it really caught first thing that I noticed is there's no third party ads on homes.com. So without naming names on those companies, you're not going to see any of that. So you're not feeling like there's mind traps anywhere. So you're going to see all the listings, you're going to see all new communities, and you're going to see a map, and you're going to see all those resources that are. So I think that is number one, building the trust up. So when you do go to homes.com, you're like, okay, this is a much better experience. I'm seeing more what I need to make a consumer, an educated decision on what I'm looking for and what I want, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's the first and foremost. And when you go back to what the market's doing, how it affects home builder world too, it's we're seeing more and more consolidation. That's the number one theme out there, right? Consolidation. And you're seeing it even in home builder world, right? So for home builders, it's buying land is it's hard to scale that. But when you can buy a home building company that's already got the land and they got the ops and the team to go along with it, then that's easier to take a big bite out of that. And you filled the gap. Now you got a presence in the southeast or the southwest now or the Midwest. And so you look at that and you look how the big are getting bigger. And there's the barriers to entry to being a scalable home builder are getting more and more challenging because of what it takes to get to that level and what you can do at that point, and whether it's capital, it's resources, purchasing, you name it. It's volume. There's a competitive advantage with volume, and we're seeing that on both fronts, right? So, yeah.
Things will continue to evolve as we know it. Those who make it through this crazy ride that we're on
Mhm.
usually come out stronger, right? It's like people who start businesses during a downturn tend to come out at the top because they've been through the roughest and the tumblest part of it. But you guys make sure you are paying attention to what's new out there. Maybe give Rick a call to see what services you may benefit from. So
Mhm.
actually, speaking of that, Rick, if somebody
Mhm.
wanted to learn more about Homes.com, what's the best way to connect with you personally?
Yeah, they could reach out to me. If you want me to provide you my contact information, my cell phone number, it's 925-998-4552. My email is rbaldonado@homes.com.
I'll definitely list it in the show
Okay.
notes so you guys don't
Yeah,
have
and
any
then
way to get to that.
if you reach out to me and you're a home builder partner out there, I can redirect you to the correct account manager rep for you in your region. But we'd be happy to talk to you and talk about partnership opportunities with homes.com. I think you'll be very pleased with that.
Awesome. So before I let you go, we not talk about AI on this call, of course,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and technologies.
yeah.
I'm curious with just evolution of AI, data, and then especially consumer behavior when it comes to how they search for new construction. How do you see the role of portals like homes.com
Yeah.
evolving?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question, right? And there's so many different ways and things that we can do with that, right? And obviously, I think first and foremost is AI is fantastic. That is the future, but there's always the human element involved in all this as well, too, right? Especially in housing, whether you're buying a new home or a resale, there's always going to be that human element, and there's always going to that need for the consumer to have that human element. Where I think you can leverage AI is, and this is coming straight from our executive leadership team and the vision that they have, and Andy Stearns and Andy Florence, and these, thank God they have that vision, because it comes down to, if I'm looking to buy a home, any home, right? And I'm looking in Houston, Texas, and I say I want to move to Houston. I'm looking for a home on a 5,000, 6,000 square foot lot near a lot of trees and near a river, preferably near a school that has a Great Schools of America rating of 8 and above, and it has a beautiful front porch that faces eastward, because I don't want to get that afternoon sun,
Yeah.
and I can afford 3, 4, $5,000 a month. Show me the results. And so that's going to factor in everything, right? If it's a rental, if it's new construction, that's what you want. You don't want the consumer wants to make sure they're making the right decision, period. And they want to see all options for themselves, period. And that's very tough to do or challenging to do if all you're doing is using pull down menus or selecting check boxes. That's challenging, right? This gives you what? Peace of mind and trust that you're like, you know what? I am making the right decision. And I think that's where AI, and that's what I think I love about the direction that we have, because we have all those tools and resources and the data points on multifamily and apartments to begin with, along with some other data that we have in the CoStar umbrella and DNA. And so I think that's where we're going with that, is to make that consumer experience so they feel like this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Confidence.
I love how you positioned it as a monthly payment as opposed to I have a budget of 600K
600 that.
that mean, because in
Yeah.
consumers' mind, it is so true. They may think, oh, that is my budget, but most of them don't think that. Most of them think, okay, I can
Right.
afford 4,000 a month to be my house payment.
Mhm.
So how you end up at that total price is up to you, especially with so many
Mhm.
different incentives that builders offer these days with buy downs, etc., different programs
Yeah.
that you may qualify for a lot higher dollar amount that you expected with that same lower monthly payment.
Yeah, and that's just transparency, right, Anya? It's, look, here's all I can afford is this, right? And you got a FICO score of X, and you got a total budget of Y. And that's really what you have to deal with for the most part, without overstretching or you're living outside your means. And so, yeah, there's those. I think those are the headwinds that a lot of us are facing, and everybody in real estate knows that. Somebody goes to look for a home and they can't qualify for it, or they haven't got qualified for it, and that makes it tough and challenging.
Absolutely. So before I let you go, was
Mhm.
there anything that I didn't ask you today or we didn't discuss that you think is important for our listeners to understand, whether it's about homes.com or anything else that we've covered today?
Yeah, obviously we're homes.com is just, it's getting off the ground here. We're about 9, 10 months in the works right now, and we're constantly evolving and improving, and we're getting a lot of exposure out there. Obviously, as you're seeing all those commercials and 100 million unique users every month, and being really stepping on the gas in terms of promoting homes.com as the go-to place to search for a home or apartment community. But we're at that stage where we've got our team, and we're looking for the builder partners. We're getting all the feeds already from builders, but we're at that stage where we want that feedback. We want you can help us shape this the way you think it can also be shaped. And that's what we're looking for. And that's why I came here. And that's why I'm here, is work with those builder partners. And it's not about, hey, here's product X, Y, and Z. It's, hey, here's the value, but we need your help. What do you like? What do you want? What do you see can be improved upon within the industry? And we can execute that because we've got the resources to do that. And that's what's really exciting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys have an opportunity to shape homes.com into what you want it to be to work for you, right?
Yeah, and I love that. I think that's important, right? Because that builds a partnership. And obviously, I know a lot of people in the industry, but I don't want to say, "Hey, here's the shelf, here's the off the shelf products, here's what you can buy right off the bat." And fortunately, I had that ability to talk to people and say, "Hey, let's talk. What do you love? What's going on right now about online portals right now? What do you dislike? And let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
And here's what we're up to, and here's what we're doing." And as part of the partnership, we value your feedback and input to be that long-term partner. So it's important.
Absolutely. Whether the market is up or down, one thing we
Hmm.
can all agree for sure is that you want to be in as many places as you possibly can, right? You want to be where your customers are, and 100 million customers are looking on homes.com. So maybe worth
Hmm.
your while to check it out. So you guys, I encourage you all to connect with Rick, see what homes.com has to offer. Again, with some enhanced photography, videography, retargeting, you can't lose with that. So
Yeah.
check them out. Rick, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate you sharing the information with us and our listeners and how they can take advantage to get larger exposure in today's market. Thanks for being with us, and I'll talk to you very soon.
Thanks, Anya.
Bye.
Bye.